Today on Twon, the used car Don, we'll be changing the front brake pads on the 2021 Toyota Camry. We already have replaced the tire or took the tire off. And you can see right here the rotor's looking kind of rusty. And we're going to come along the back side of the brake caliper, and it's got two 14mm bolts. These are the tools we're going to use: a 17/16 ratchet wrench and a 17 and a 14 socket. Here we go, taking the brake caliper off. Got your two 14mm. And then you still want to come back, take them out with your hand. And here we're going to just take the brake caliper off. And you can see the brake pads right here. This person needs brakes. A lot of people in the shop put brakes on everything, but we put brakes on what needs to be put brakes on. So here we go. We're going to take the 17mm. You see I have a long wrench because that long wrench is going to give me torque because these bolts are pretty tight. So we're going to break them loose. And then we're going to come back behind that just for speed purposes with the 17mm socket on a 1/4-inch ratchet wrench and zip them off. There we go. And then we're going to take a 12mm. It's a special space in Toyota Rotors where you can just screw the screw in. It's going to knock the rotor off. A lot of people take an old school hammer, but this is the more sufficient way to do it. And then after that, we're also just take the rotor off. And a lot of places actually put brand new rotors on, but I'm going to cut the rotors. And cutting the rotors, make sure the rotor, it will pretty much put the rotor just like it was new. We're taking that old layer off that could be warped. A lot of times when you press the brake and you feel that pulsation, that's because your rotor is warped from hot spots and you hard braking all the time. And here we go. We slapped I could explain this, but I'm not because I'm doing this one-handed just to try to show you guys how it's done. I'm not going to go in depth on how to use this machine because a lot of people don't use this machine. So I'm just going to show you exactly what you look for or what we look for when we cut rotors. And you see the new rotor? All the old rotor has been cut, and it's going to take it all the way to the final end, and that's how you know your rotor's done perfectly. And you can look at the old rotor to compare the two, and you see the difference. Here's a lot of times this is where your hot spots be or rust or anything like that. And then there it is. The rotor's almost complete. Almost. And pretty much is complete. See, then you can take a fine sandpaper. I mean, you can actually feel it. It's smooth as a baby's bottom. And here we are is the new brake pads. And it's important, especially on Toyota. Toyota brake pads have thick shims because Toyota and Lexus brakes are noisy. But you have to have this thick shim. If not, you use an aftermarket brake, you're going to have noisy brakes. So we're going to go back over here to the brake bracket. And then we take our 17mm and we get it pretty tight. And we do that pretty tight. There we go. And then we come back with that 17mm because you want to get it good and tight. I don't know the exact torque specs right now, but you want to make sure that brake bracket is very tight. And then we got the brake silencer. I put this on the brakes, but I wish I could use this brake silencer somewhere else. Anyways, but you apply that on the back side of the brake pad. A lot of people don't use this. A lot of people use grease. A lot of people use both, but I prefer the brake silencer. It's never proved me wrong. I'm not going to say I've never had noisy brakes after that. But anyways, so here we go. We slap the brake pad on like so. And when you're doing brake pad, it's the back, one of the back shims have just a circle, and that goes on the back toward the piston. And then the other one goes on the front side like so. Yeah. But it's important because your last brakes had wear in it, and that pushes that piston out. So you're going to have to use the tool to push that piston in. Here's my tool I got off a TikTok shop. And I can't show you that, but this is what it looks like when that caliper's all the way in, and it slides over the new brake shoe very easy. And then we come back and we place our 14 millimeter bolts in, and just make sure you do these hand tight first, because I've seen people strip brake brackets. So make sure you use hand tight before you place an impact on, because you don't want to ruin those threads. And zip and zap. And that is how you perform a brake job. You go back and you repeat the same thing on the other side. And it may sound dumb, but make sure you put the tire back on and tighten it. Use the star pattern, because star pattern makes sure the brake is down, torque in a certain pattern. Please like and subscribe to Twon, the used car Don.